toxic white males. It's Toxic Femininity, brought to you by Midnight's Edge.
Welcome one and all to the one show on YouTube they don't want you to see. That's right, Toxic Femininity, brought to you by Midnight's Edge, as you just heard. With us, as always, is the lovely Lorena Creole. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here tonight.
Awesome. And we also have with us OG Star Wars Legends gal, Alora. How you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you guys, and we have some great discussions for you.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
And that other lovely face you see on the far, I guess it would be your right, looking at the screen, is Nina Infinity guesting with us tonight. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for the invite. I'm really happy to be here.
And Mary Mayhem has officially turned into Poison Ivy. Blame
Fat Steven Seagal. He posted that picture earlier for Toxic Femme, and I just sort of ran with it. Hey, somebody's got to make redheads look good again after fucking Amber Heard.
I'm sorry, I'm drooling. I can't think rationally right now.
I would be disappointed if you didn't, Tom.
Wait. Is she got melons on her melons? Is that what?
No, those are leaves. She's poison ivy.
I don't care.
Oh my God.
Mary, you're so toxic tonight. I love it.
That's what I was shooting for, folks. I'm thrilled with myself. Very pleased. So, yeah.
No complaints from the peanut gallery.
Uncomfortably quiet.
I just said no complaints from the peanut gallery. Jeez.
No, I love the boob job. It's awesome.
Yeah, if we lose Tom, that means his mic malfunctioned from his slobbering.
Too bad.
Oh my.
Oh, I want to thank everybody for joining us. It looks like Terminus EST sent us a super sticker already. I can't tell what it is, but I'm willing to bet it's a Doomicorn.
It's a Doomicorn.
Mary?
There we go.
All righty, folks. We're just getting going here on this Monday evening. Hope everybody's doing well as people start moving in here. We got some regulars hanging out with us. Thank you so much for hanging out. Sander Hammerslag, Prophet of Dune, Larry, Cosmic Squirrel, all you guys. So good to see you. Jake D, thank you so much for coming in. Kevin Street, Goddess of Whim 2003. Welcome everybody. Shadzar. Seen some people hanging out earlier, and then there were some haters already hitting the downvote button already. It was so fun.
I saw, dude. You
Karens.
sent that link up like a few minutes after you made it. I go in to like the stream, right? Get it pulled up and muted and everything and ready. It already had two downvotes. Like, there's no way it had been up for more than a couple minutes now. Like, do you people have no life? Is this what you spend your time doing?
You have no life.
The stream hasn't even started yet, haters. You know, haters gonna hate.
Yep.
Let them do thing. I feel bad for people like that.
Oh man.
I love that one.
Alora, are you still with us? I know her internet's.
I was saying, I know she was having some issues. Yeah, so hopefully that'll. Hello.
Yeah, it keeps going in and out every 2 minutes. Yes, it's annoying. I'm like, what's next today?
Is there somebody else around using up the internet, or?
Let me see here. I'm gonna try to. There you go.
And we lost her.
I heard her for a second.
She cut out. She's gone.
Oh no.
Friggin' annoying.
There she is.
Hell. I wonder if I should.
Maybe go reset your router or something.
Yeah,
I would reset the router real quick if you can, girl. And no need to stress about that. I know you're heading up our first topic for tonight, but we can hold it down if we need to while you do that.
Right. Her internet's just like.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Right?
Wow.
God, I love that clip so much. I love that clip so much. It's literally how I end most of my streams now.
I got a new clip.
You do.
I run it through my head like throughout the day. So like if something pisses me off, I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like
I got 3 new clips actually.
let's see.
hey, Amy, we gotta change Spider-Man. We're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and we're gonna do this one and that one and blah 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 blah. I gotta add some voices to this. Eh? True story.
My.
True story. Amy Pascal did throw a sandwich at his head, supposedly. And then we had this one. Wheelchair man on STD. And then this one, I'm going to get a lot of, I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of. Are you ready?
This sucks.
Yeah, me. It really sucks.
I can see you getting a lot of
Classic.
use. Yeah. But I'm not going to lie. That Timmy, I died.
That one.
Yeah.
Timber!
It
That
looks
is
like
gold.
that guy is saying that as he's
He probably is in his head.
Oh my god.
He is in my head canon.
I have a question. Is that guy legitimately wheelchair bound in real life?
I don't know, but it's stupid because he's on a spaceship.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, isn't there been like this huge push for like people who are a certain thing to play characters that are like that? Like, I would dig up and try to find out whether or not he actually is disabled. Because if he's not, I mean, like
Ooh.
using your own logic, I'm just saying.
I thought they fixed that in Star Trek, but
I know, right? Like, Luke Skywalker can get a brand new fucking hand, but you can't get this guy out of a wheelchair.
I mean, Geordie LaForge has, the special visor thing so he can see. So you mean to tell me?
Wait. Luke Skywalker has a solo hand and a hand solo.
Yeah, but technically Lorena Discovery is set before the Next Generation. Like it's like a prequel. So in the timeline, maybe they're not as advanced technologically.
Oh no, there's no excuse for it.
That's
No.
I know. I'm
Yeah, I hear
Dude,
you, but
there was that floating guy like in the Trek and like the original Trek, the beep beep boop guy, and he has like a
yeah, he was kind of like in a little metal box thing with
Yeah.
his head. It looked like a floating trash
yeah.
garbage trash thingy.
At least that one had anti-grav. Like this guy's rolling around.
This is super old freaking chat.
Wait, you need to do another one, Tom. You need to do another one where it goes back. It goes. They see me rolling.
Hot and dirty.
Timber!
I'm so glad I don't watch Discovery.
Me too. I watched season 1 and I was like, fuck this shit, I'm
I
out.
didn't even
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Mm-mm.
the card was bad enough. I said no more.
Holy hell! Holy hell!
Right! Thank God!
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. It will forever and always be my favorite.
Oh, and we lost the lovely Laura. Hopefully she makes it back in here. Her internet is acting up, folks. So
This house is a fucking prison on planet bullshit. In the galaxy of this sucks camel dicks.
that's right.
It's true. It sucks so bad because Alora's really the one. She was going to head up Mando,
Yeah.
but we can absolutely get into the discussion and kind of get started if we need to, because I think that's completely doable. I know Lorena, you just rewatched it.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice, and we can start off tentatively until she gets back. If you
All
want.
right, let's get into the news. Fuck it.
All right, guys. As you know, Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 dropped on Friday, and everybody clamored to go watch it. And it was good.
It was there. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
Yay, welcome back.
Hey,
There. Hey, Laura.
Welcome
Okay.
back, Aurora. We were just kicking off the conversation if you want to get us going on that.
okay, so first of all, we are getting into Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 of this journey. And I know that Mandalorian, the first season, had mixed bag of feelings on what had happened and what's going on in there. And it left us with, curiosity. Well, what's going to happen now that he needs to return the child back to their kind? And so we want to, and then also the dark saber. I was expecting some dark saber like Moff Gideon, and maybe even just having not a standalone, but basically more information about him and what he's doing, what his purpose is in the beginning of the season.
Well, Lorena kind of brought that up earlier, actually.
I thought, given the way that the season finale ended, that the season premiere was going to kick off with literally the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda running for their lives. Like Moff Gideon and all his cronies are on their tail. Yeah. And that's what I expected. Something, out of the gate, you are like worried about what's going to happen. They're on the run. Are they going to catch them? Are they going to get out of it? And I kind of make the analogy to, if folks have seen it, that one season of The Walking Dead, where it kicked off and they were on the highway and Carol's daughter gets loose and there's all these walkers, and literally for 10 freaking minutes, it's like you can't breathe because you're just like invested with what's going to happen. And I didn't get that urgency. I could have bought it for the first maybe 5 minutes, because when the scene opens out, they're like in this seedy underworld somewhere in the hood with a lot of really good graffiti artists, and you can tell that there's someplace seedy or whatever. It's like, okay, so maybe he's trying to get some information to kind of save their skins or something like that. So I could deal with that part, and the MMA match with the Gamorreans and what the one guy
that was
did.
fun. That was fun.
That was gangster, what he did when he's just like, I don't want to leave anything to chance, and shot the other guy in the ring.
Although it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. This was something I was talking about with Andrew when we first finished the episode, because you see them they're wearing the shield bracelets or whatever, like that you kind of see in KOTOR, right? Like you've got the bracelets that kind of shield each other whenever they're in those melee combat, right? Because you see the shielding going on.
KOTOR, so I don't know.
So I was like, how the heck did he actually manage to shoot him with the shield bracelet up? I mean, unless I completely misinterpreted that.
Unless he's got a weapon that can disrupt that frequency and do that.
I suppose there's a way around that, but it landed oddly for me. Though I will admit that it was like a lot of fun. But you remember what I'm talking about, don't you, Laura? In KOTOR, where you're wearing the bracelets of the shield, and you've got like the Akani bracelets, right? Where they're shields essentially. And so that's the only thing I could assume why it kept like sending out those waves of energy when they would hit each other, like hit each other physically. And so it's like, well, that doesn't make Cornelia. Thank you.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ. Let him do his thing. But I was a little confused by that, but I was still here for it. And I was still having a good time. And we're going along doing our thing. And then we get to what's her face? God, I don't remember her name, but what did you call her earlier?
Richard Simmons.
Yes. That's that lady. Oh my God. Okay. So I swear to God, I don't know. She's just very off-putting and stuff. And
could you hammer home how much he's changed and the droid thing any more blatant and obviously? Like, do you want to give a bad name to all your kind? And I'm just sitting there like, lady, this is like the 5th or 6th time that you've yelled at these droids, right? Let's all point at Mando getting along with droids a little bit more. A little bit more. It's really uncomfortable and non-organic and forced.
Very forced. Very forced. That's something where she shouldn't have had to say anything. You should have seen some interaction between the droids and the Mandalorian to drive that point home. Instead of having to talk about it endlessly.
We don't need you to hold our hands.
And mind you, he only been to Tatooine twice. And as we get further into the discussion about the Mandalorian, I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm like, wait, how does he know this race and the demographics and able to speak like that when this is his only second time being there?
Can I just say something? when I heard that they were going back to Tatooine, my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I'm like, we're going there again. Weren't we just there not too long ago?
They already have it loaded up in that scene thing. So it's easy to bring back up. That's
to be a devil's advocate for this. I really overall enjoyed this episode, and I know we're gonna dig at it here for a little bit. So I'll put it out there ahead of time. I love the game KOTOR, and this episode was clearly an homage, a very loving homage to KOTOR, right? And anybody who's played that game looked at this and they became very fond of it probably pretty quickly. We'll leave the crate dragon discussion for a little later. But like I really loved that you had this sort of interaction with the sand people, and that you kind of had to acknowledge that when they're desperate, they'll have a discussion with you. And I was willing to set aside that I don't understand, because there are not a lot of people who can speak sand people, who can speak Tuscan, right?
Can I ask something? Because I find it interesting that you called it an homage, because most people have been calling it like a ripoff. Is that
I would call it an homage. I think it was too blatant. I think it was pretty clear that this was. I'm trying to be generous here, and I do feel like it was an homage.
I've heard it both ways from some people who have played KOTOR, because when I haven't played KOTOR, so I don't have that frame of reference. So I've heard it from both areas. Some people who feel that it's Mary, like you're saying, that it's an homage, and other people who are just like they just blatantly ripped off of KOTOR and did it. So I mean, you can't please everybody. I can get that, but I can see where both sides are coming
from a certain point of view, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I've played KOTOR, but I haven't watched Mando.
Yeah, see, I haven't played KOTOR, so I could. I mean, it lined up what I always say is like the basic level of canon, which is the first 1 through 6 movies. So if you tie into that, I can pretty much follow it. So while I have not played KOTOR at all, the story elements seemed okay to me. There wasn't anything blatantly offensive to me besides the member berries, but we'll get into that later. But I can see how that would fit in. So I think, without playing,
I think they knew what they were doing. I think the intent was homage, not ripoff, right? I think that intent matters here. They knew what they were doing. I don't think that they thought they could get it past us that blatantly as a ripoff. I think they know darn good and well that if they were just straight up ripping it off, but I think they understand and know that there are a lot of people that love KOTOR, and so they knew when they were going into it that this was sort of a loving send up to it. And I have to give Jon Favreau props, because I do believe his intention is sincere, right? Like I do believe that of Jon Favreau, that he really is trying his best here and that he means well. I don't think he knows enough about Star Wars to do things well at times. Sometimes he does things sloppy, but I do believe he's sincere in his affection for it. What?
All right. So, but what? Okay.
I love how OG starts laughing at this.
Yeah. We know it's coming.
I don't put Filoni or him on a pedestal, and the thing is that, he resorted back to core so that it could be member berries to bring that nostalgia. You remember when you played that scene? Well, we're going to show it in the movie. And so that's why I see a mixed bag review on that. And then when we get into season 1 or season 2, episode 1, the Mando's told to go find his own. And so he goes and searches on Tatooine, because that's where they tell him to go, because there's so-called Mandalorian there. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, and he's supposed to be finding the child's kind, which is very vague, whether it's going to be the species or the Jedi. But
I think he was going to look for other Mandalorians, right?
Yeah, that's my thing. And but the thing is if he's supposed to look for the child's kind, we know that Luke is out there. Why isn't he searching for Luke at least?
Well, I don't know that he knows anything about Luke per se. Yeah. There's a lot of gray area and a lot of wiggle room here, and I'm willing to give that. I'm really willing to give that.
Planet. And that's the thing. It's Luke's home planet, and also, he doesn't even know anything about the Mandalorians himself.
Well, he knew about it. So that's one of the things that kind of drives me crazy about the Mandalorian is that the whole Mandalorian culture has become incredibly murky, right? They're all very segmented. They're all very disconnected from one another, and it makes it very difficult to lay down any finite rules at this point. And so, like, I can understand with how they've presented things why Mando is, yes, thank you, Tom, and your donut. Why Mando is himself disconnected from the rest of Mandalorian culture, but that's a double-edged sword because it makes it really hard. Okay, McChicken, whatever. It makes it really hard for us to get a fix on what it is to expect from our Mandalorian in terms of his behavior and how normal or acceptable it is, right? It's very difficult to follow things. And I want to go back to what Lorena was saying earlier about how this didn't feel like a great opening episode. And I have to agree with her because as much as I overall enjoyed the episode, notwithstanding the crate dragon, which is a whole big old mess in and of itself, I agree. This really was not the way to start off after this entire reveal of the black saber or the dark saber. And this we should have had them on the run. What was it? It was Cara Dune, I believe, who said last season, they're not going to stop hunting you. They're going to keep coming after you. You're not going to be able to get away from these guys. So he's able to like completely traverse Tatooine, the entire planet, on a speed bike, for the love of all things, without getting tracked down and caught by these people. I don't understand how did that happen? This was all leading up to one big reveal, and that's Boba Fett's still alive. Spoiler alert for those of you in the chat. And it felt very, very self-gratifying in that regard. This was another side quest. When it was a fun side quest, and I loved the side quest. But at what point are we going to get on with the business of telling this story?
Yeah. And here's a little bit of history about Din, or the Mandalorian. Okay, he's a foundling. Okay, so, and you know what? Death Watch is the one that found him. Now that's the extreme Mandalorians. If you go into Clone Wars, for some reason they turn pacifists, and then and the non-Mandalorians that they consider Dar Mando, which is non-Mandalorian, was the Death Watch. And so he was found by the Death Watch, which means he would be considered non-Mandalorian or extreme Mandalorian and raised as a Mandalorian. So when you get into a story, he even says, oh, I'm just Mando and blah, blah, blah. But then it doesn't make sense with his origins, what's told of him. Then when you look into the original lore with Jango Fett, he has the exact same background story of being found as a foundling, rescued during war, blah, 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 as Jango Fett. And then it puts further salt in the wound of Fett fans who love the evolution of the Fetts as Mandalorians to now he, and spoiler, has taken back Boba's armor.
All I know is Timothy Oliphant is cool as fuck.
Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He did such a great job. Like, he was never too over the top. I was always with him for everything that he was portraying. I didn't know at first whether or not this was a good guy, you know, because it's a little ambiguous when you first step in and he's sort of sitting there and he's like, you want to do this in front of the kid? And he's getting ready to go come to blows with Armando right in front of Baby Yoda.
He's got some Romulan ale. Okay, well, it looks like Romulan ale, but it's not really Romulan. He like grabs a drink, sits down, you know. Yeah. I mean, I totally bought that.
Yeah, I bought him.
I was just thinking he should have been the Mandalorian the whole time. But
oh my God, wouldn't that have been amazing?
He has the stance for it and everything. I don't think that Pascal is a great liking to it now. I mean, comparing to him, I really dig him as a Mandalorian more so than Pascal.
I do too, and I'm sorry, but he's just less of a bitch ass punk about the armor, right? Like, God, your tits, Pedro. Like, stop being so damn difficult. My concern: we've already heard reports that this season was going to be particularly disjointed and difficult to get the story. Like, we had heard that this was going to be a rough season to get through because some of this stuff was really not well filmed because of how Pedro was difficult to get along with and getting him in the suit and getting certain things done. And so we've heard that this might actually get worse in terms of coherent storytelling as the season goes on, which makes me wonder why they didn't rework this particular episode and put this as an episode 2 or 3 or something.
Exactly, because that's why that's like my biggest issue with this. I didn't hate the episode. I didn't absolutely love the episode. It was just something that seemed like it should have been in the middle after an episode that, those episodes that are full of so much action that you need a breather. And this would have been that breather type of episode. And I think I would have rated it much higher had it come later on in the season.
You just got a lot of people who want to know what the heck happened with Moff Gideon and the Dark Saber, and that was where you left us. And the first thing you open up with is an MMA match and freaking oh god, I keep forgetting what you called her. What's his name?
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons.
Lady. and then the Crate Worm. And I loved the homage to KOTOR, but simultaneously, I really see where you're coming from with that, Lorena, because it really does feel like this side quest that should have been reserved after we've gotten some. I don't want to say closure, but at least follow up on where we got left. We got dropped with the
we at least give us some kind of payoff. It doesn't have to be all of the dots, but get something answered.
Yeah,
so we're like,
this
okay,
is just like going on a quest, like we're playing a friggin' game,
Yeah.
He's just going to revamp somewhere here, and now he's going to go off there, and collect more points and. Yeah, so let's get to the Richard Simmons lady and then how she points him off to the direction of Mos Pelgos or Palgo, whatever the name is. And that was kind of off a little tiny bit for me. And also, too, it also explains that after the celebration, after the Death Star was destroyed, Death Star 2 and the Empire, that the the crime lords took over just that town, even though that town, no one knows where the hell it is at on the planet. However, other people do that are not from the planet. So I found that kind of off-putting a little bit. When a town is destroyed, it doesn't mean that it's also destroyed off a map.
Well, I think maybe there's a joke, maybe the inside joke that we wiped it off the map or whatever. You could call that an inside joke. I don't know how you would run with that, not legitimately, but yeah, that's the best I can give them. There is that it was the joke being that it got wiped off the map.
I know, but it was kind of corny, cheesy, but then it still didn't make sense because it doesn't automatically get removed off because then would Hosnia Prime now be off the map? Like just because they're destroyed, there would be still maps that depict them.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to. It's really hard to defend that. It's really hard to defend that.
One of those things would have been cool if it's like, I can't find it because it's a newer map, and that's like, here's an older map which actually has that on there to kind of show that dichotomy.
That's what bothered me about in the prequels too, when they erase the one thing in the thing. It's like, so there's no other map on the face of the earth that has that info on it.
Yeah.
Well, I always kind of give that a pass because it's not like they went somewhere else to check or whatever. That was supposed to be the big database, the Jedi Order's database, and someone went in there specifically and deleted it. That's where they would go to find it.
Well, it just bothered me because that lady's like, well, if it's not there, then it doesn't exist. It's like, well,
but Tom, that was a reference to the pious nature that the Jedi Order had taken on, right? Was that they had become sort of too big for their britches. That was literally a reference.
Tom's right. I'm a shit fucking writer when it comes to writing dialogue. Okay, I admit it. But you know what?
I actually love that scene because
it was badass. Okay.
I actually love that scene because I agree with you, Mary, about exactly what you just said, and also every librarian is the same. Like in every universe, even in Star Wars, they're a total bitch, and they're like.
Not all of them, but I understand where you're going.
It's so funny.
I always felt like that was a reference to how the Jedi had fallen and become really sort of like
egotistical,
really shady.
Well, if the notion that if the Jedi didn't have the answer, then the answer didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
it was something that I felt like conveyed that it was one of those subtle things that was George not holding your hand the way that people seem to think that you need it these days, right? George didn't always hold your hand for everything. It was one of the things I loved about the original trilogy was that it dropped you right into this world and it expected you to keep up and follow along with what was going on without explanation of every single little thing. George dropped these little things in there from time to time to let you see how pious the order had become. And so that was how I had always taken that with the librarian.
And it's really good as a fan to connect those dots together for yourself. You're just like, oh, did I really just see what I did? You know, what I saw, and making that connection in your own head.
Yeah.
Why for Tom? Why for?
Why Mark doesn't want to do that?
That mischievous grin. Okay, so let's move on here.
Maybe we should get back to the Mandalorian.
Okay.
Mandalorian. We kind of strayed there. Okay, so we find out that like I said, that after the Empire was so-called destroyed in this new lore, that the crime syndicate went in there and basically took over Mos Pelgos, or whatever the name it is. And we get his backstory a little bit about, how he acquired, Cobb acquired the Mandalorian armor and how he freed the town from the tyranny of the crime lords that are taking over. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because I was like, oh my God, I found some more shit that was lore breaking within their own canon. Originally, the crime lord, this is in the aftermath, Adwin Charu basically was the one that was going in to fill the void of Jabba, the power void that was left by Jabba after his death. And so Cobb is originally a slave. That was never mentioned in there.
Well, and to make sure everybody understands, when we talk about Cobb, we're talking about the marshal in this episode, right? That's Cobb, right? So to kind of to kind of make this comparison here, we're talking about the story, the book trilogy Aftermath, right? Which was written after the sequel trilogy or whatever. That was meant to explain a lot of these things. It touches on this exact person, Cobb, the marshal that we see in this scenario. And this doesn't line up with what's in the Aftermath trilogy and what we were shown in this episode. Go ahead, Laura.
Exactly. So that's okay. That's fine. Continuity within its own IP now has been broken. And they basically, he helps the crime lord, Mr. Charu or whatever his name is, communicate with the Jawas. They show him Boba Fett's Mandalore armor, or his armor, and he ends up purchasing it, and Cobb or the marshal wants it. They get into a fight about it. I'm just saying in brief. And he basically kills the crime lord and takes the armor. So very different than what we see in the Mandalorian. So there's a bit of another bit of misstep within their own lore. Are they trying to retcon the Aftermath? I don't know, because they even stated that, recently that they are trying to keep continuity within their own IP. So who knows?
Okay. Well, I will point out, just to add, for those of us who aren't aware of that within the EU, we would have no way of knowing that if we viewed this. So that's kind of like the audience. So I could see.
I think Timothy Oliphant's character's lying too.
Really?
See, I didn't get that impression. I didn't get that impression at all. I got the impression that we were meant to like him.
That's what I mean.
I just think this is a moment where they didn't have their ducks in a row.
Tom thinks he's playing us.
I think he's playing us. And just like I think what's her face, the lady you just called
Richard Simmons.
Her acting is either horrible or she's playing it up for Mando, like she's fucking with him and she's gonna fuck him over at some point.
I feel like her acting is horrible, and here's why I disagree.
It could be one or the other, but yeah. But and then the other thing I just wanted to point out is when they keep talking about we need to find his kind, they don't mean his species, they mean Jedi.
Right. Well, they said species though. They specifically said species.
Yeah.
That's what they want you to believe, but then he's going to find out his kind means the Jedi, because there is no other of his kind. That's going to be the big reveal.
We have to get that far, but here's why I have to disagree with you on that plot point being subversion. All right, because he gave up the armor, Tom. He gave up the Mandalorian armor willingly. He made a deal with the guy. He followed through.
So that doesn't mean that he didn't fuck over Boba Fett to get it, and didn't lie to or to. What's his face? The Mandalorian.
That's not what the aftermath books say, though. They say that he got into an altercation with the other guy who was helping them run it, and then he essentially called the dude out, blasted him in his shoulder, and took the armor for himself. Right?
And again, all of this backstory, it's like for somebody like me, and we just have the baseline of just the 6 movies and maybe a comic here or there, we wouldn't know any of that.
Yeah, how could you? How could you know? Because, well, I don't know why anybody would go read those books anyway. But but let's say you did, right? Let's say you gave a shit about it. You can now point to this discrepancy. I do not believe, because there are too many. Dave Filoni can't even follow his own canon either. All right, so I really don't believe that this was a situation where they knew what had already come before, and they were trying to kind of I don't believe this is going to be a recurring character, right? I just
for now.
We'll see.
For now,
the whole setup,
Disney's crazy ass. They just might bring them back.
The whole setup had one point and one point only, to show you Boba Fett was still around. All of this episode existed for one reason, one sole reason: Boba Fett's alive. That's it. That's the whole. And it was a fun way to get there. I'm not going to lie, and I appreciated the homage to get us there. But that was the point of this episode, not to introduce and keep around Cobb, but to let you know this is where Boba was, and this was what was going on, and that's where his armor was. And so now Boba Fett has a reason to come after Mandalorian later to get his armor back. So no, I don't believe Cobb's a reoccurring character. I don't believe they're going to explore this. There's no reason for them to subvert us there and to subvert our expectations. Be like, oh, he was really a bad guy all along, because that's not the point of his character. His character.
That doesn't mean he's a bad guy. That doesn't necessarily mean that Boba Fett's a good guy.
We already know that he's like an anti-hero, or just works for himself. We know Boba's intention already, so we'll see what happens after this, and if they fight for the armor, and what happens if he does reclaim his armor.
I don't know. If you go by the movies, he's dumb. He doesn't do anything. He dies.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Boba Fett fan. I really don't. I'm not on board with them bringing him back.
Yeah,
I'm really not. I'm really not.
I liked his character in the EU, and I liked how it evolved all the way to Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, and we learned about his family and how his granddaughter was set up to be the successor of him as Mandalore, and that was after the Clone Wars. They were retconning back the family back to be Mandalorians again.
Well, I know for me, I liked Boba Fett, but my primary interest in Boba Fett was just because of that statement that Vader made when he told him no disintegration. So that told me they had a previous working relationship going on. So that was my interest in Boba Fett. Like, dang, Vader has you on retainer for a reason. Okay, so with that, and I've said this on several streams before, I don't like the idea of them bringing back Boba Fett, because all that tells me is that you don't have very much confidence in the world that you built in season 1.
Oh, we'll go through all the member berries, and that kind of gives you really, you need to kind of bait us with us. You don't have any confidence in your writing.
Yeah, the member berries were off the hook in this.
That's crazy. Like, boom, member, boom, member, boom. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. Just to point it for all you guys who are watching it, I know you saw it. There's Anakin's pod racer engine. Member, I'm member. Like they're doing this weird sort of testosterone-driven racing thing with each other, where they're and I'm like, man, why are you doing that? Look at your tiny ass little speeder. That's a pod racing engine.
Mine's better than yours.
Exactly. Do we really need to have a metaphorical dick measuring contest on screen right now? Is this necessary? In conjunction with pod racing member berries? This felt really weird.
I got it. What if this is really Dave Filoni and Favreau, having their own dick contest?
Oh my god.
That would explain a lot
that
right
would be
there.
That's what it's better doing this. I'm this.
That's hilarious. And I would not be surprised about that.
Not at all.
I
Not.
Sucks.
All right, so let's now go to the fact that they're on that town Moss Plagos or whatever. I'm saying it wrong probably. It's also originally called Freedman Town.
Freeman, yeah.
Freedman, and we get to see the Sarlacc. Not the Sarlacc. Shit, it's almost like a friggin' Sarlacc, but the crate dragon worm.
Oh, the crate worm.
The crate worm.
The worm from Dune. That one.
Or Dune.
Yeah, the one from Dune. I was thinking that too when I saw the pictures. I was like, isn't that like a Dune ripoff too?
I know. It's like it's up, and it comes up, and it goes down really slow, like it did in the Dune movie. I'm hearing crate dragon, and I'm thinking something from like Game of Thrones and whatnot. It's got claws. It's breath. It's stomping on everything. I didn't expect to see a sandworm.
Well,
really
and
didn't.
Lorena, if you're familiar with crate dragons, as anybody who's played KOTOR or gotten into the E or whatever, you would know that is something that you should have expected to see on screen, is essentially a giant lizard, right? And so that is what you should have expected. So Mos Pelgo's like shaking, and you're expecting to see this dragon, like if you've gotten the Greater Canyon crate coming in, like that shit could have flown in, bam! Like you would have had an excuse for that windmill doing its thing.
Yes,
no, that's not what happened. Happened.
Sorry, as an engineer, that pissed me off. That it's like underground, and then you see this windmill spinning around. Like, no,
it shouldn't be spinning like that. And even if it has a little bit of movement, it shouldn't be spinning like the wind is blowing through it.
Exactly.
If if they want to make it like the vibration from the ground, then it's going to be shaking, maybe turning a little tiny bit. So that was kind of odd as well. And so the concept artist, was discussing on Twitter that he really did his research and was researching cinematic dragons to really create the crate dragon. However,
you don't need to research cinematic dragons. You need to research crate dragons.
Exactly.
You're making a crate dragon.
How about be creative and create your own? I don't know.
See,
no, it's already established in the lore. And
hold on. I like what Nina's saying there, because look, you can have a bajillion different subspecies and validate that, right? Yeah. As of right now, we know that there are, I think, 3 species total of crate dragon, right? And so the subspecies being like the canyon crate dragon and the greater crate dragon, right? And so you've got like, I think 3, but there's like, we're discovering new species on Earth all the time. Thank you, Tom. You could have just said this is a crate worm or a crate dragon worm. You could have said we found a new species and then added that to the profile, and everyone would have been fine. This was an easy fix. I didn't expect to see trimmers. But that's cool. Fine. Like, all right, if you're throwing trimmers at me, I could still respect it as an homage, and you're trying to make it a little different for the purposes of this particular story you're trying to tell, right? But instead you waved it in the face of fans and you said, nope, see, this is a crate dragon now. No, everybody knows what a crate dragon is.
Crate dragon.
And so Lord Vader's and they're trying to correct me, and I haven't made my point yet because we're in this discussion right here. So the concept artist, stated what he did, and I asked, okay, so what about, researching the lore regarding crate dragons? He never replied to me, but eventually he answered someone's question who asked if that crate dragon that we seen in Mandalorian had legs, and he said yes, it had legs. And so then I commented and said, well, then how come it moves serpentine and there's no indication that there are legs on there? And then even after it's exploded, destroyed, and it's almost like it's belly up, because when you see the rib cages, it's split open where rib cages come together.
Yeah.
So, okay, so where are the legs in? Because usually the legs are right there where the rib cage, at least the front legs are.
Yeah. I'm one of the ones here on this stream tonight that will tell you I overall enjoyed this. Yeah. I enjoyed this episode. I think it would have been better placed as a second or a third. And look, Goddess of Whim, I'm not dumping on. If you liked this episode, more power to you. And I think we will all acknowledge that. I think
this is the nicest Mary's been to this fucking show so far.
if you loved it, that's absolutely great. If you loved it, for some of us, it's like I'm in the middle. I'm like, I didn't like it, I didn't hate it. I had a couple of bones to pick with it, pun intended.
And then there's me, who refuses to watch the entire show. So I mean, it's fine. You can be in any group. It's all good. Everybody's respected here. See, I do like Baby Yoda though, even though I don't give a shit about the show at all. He's cute.
See, I don't like Baby Yoda. I think we'll all agree that certainly Mandalorian is the best thing to come out of Disney Star Wars. I don't think there's a real question. Well, unless you want to like chuck in like some of the video games or whatever. But that being set aside, I think that Disney Star Wars, this just in Mary, I don't hate babies, Tom.
Oh my God, Tom. Wow. That is not what she said.
That is not what I said.
There goes the toxic male putting, words in a woman's mouth.
Exactly. Right. No, I think we'll all acknowledge that this is the best to come out of Disney Star Wars, right? And there's a lot to love here. There's a lot to enjoy. I will be one of the people who will say, I don't call this a ripoff. I don't call this episode a ripoff of KOTOR at all. I call it an homage. And thank you, Tom. And I do believe that it is an homage, and I give them that sense. But what my concern here is that the same mentality that leads you to make Luke Skywalker Jake Skywalker is the same mentality that leads you to make a crate dragon a crate worm and then call it a crate dragon.
Yeah, and that's what really insulted my intelligence. It's like it moves like a worm, but you're calling it a dragon, and I'm just like, no, he's
even like going through the mountain. You would think that maybe he would burst out of the mountain and like stand there, like, and we'd see his legs, and you would see him, being more intimidating and seeing the size of him instead of like even going to the mountain and jumping, coming out on the top of the hill. And then if you notice, and this is just my, as an artist and as someone that wants to believe in the universe and stuff that they're creating, is wherever that crate whatever swam, after he leaves, the ground is solid again. Even after he busted that mountain's back to normal again afterwards.
Oh, I didn't see that, but I feel like that's a nitpick.
I know that as someone that wants to believe the world and what's going on, I want to believe that crate dragon swam through there and kind of like messed up the ground and stuff. So
I mean, I see what you're saying there, and I understand that approach or whatever, but I feel like it's important to not get too deep into the weeds here. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when we're talking about canon contradictions, where you're talking about how Aftermath doesn't line up with this, that's valid. When you're talking about how this is not a crate dragon, that's valid. When you're talking about freaking, God, I can't ever remember the name of that chick that you called it, Lorena.
Richard Simmons. Okay, her name is Amy Sedaris, but yeah, we call her Richard Simmons.
The Richard Simmons lady, that's cringe as fuck, and I'll call it out, right? But what I won't say is that this was a ripoff of KOTOR when I feel like it's clearly an homage, right? I think it's important to be as objective as possible on this stuff, because while it's important to keep your eyes open for disrespect where it's shown and to hold them accountable for that, it's also just as important, equally important, to praise them. This was really fun. This was a really fun episode. I squealed. I was so excited when I saw the crate pearl. Granted, it was fucking huge, but also I think they were trying to scale it up because they were trying to go big or go home, right? And
yeah, but you know what though? See, the reason that you say this is exactly why it gave me cringe, because I've seen like all the spoilery stuff and I saw the thing, and it made me cringe a little bit because of exactly what you said, Lorena, about the Dune thing. And we know that the Dune trailer just dropped and it did very well compared to Star Wars Mandalorian. And they have the worm.
Yeah, but they couldn't have known that when they were filming it.
Here we are. We've got the worm too, everybody. Don't forget Star Wars.
It's kind of real. They didn't know that when they were filming it.
No, they didn't. But I will say that when they were probably coming up with this, they're like, yeah, the Dune, like the worm moves and it's really cool. We should try to use that.
Exactly.
And that's probably what, wound up happening, although somebody should have checked them and said, and this is where you need a showrunner that can put stuff together from soup to nuts. Because if they would have come up to a reputable showrunner and said, hey, this is a crate dragon. No, that thing looks like a freaking worm. Go do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Someone was saying in the chat, oh, well, they're just budgeting, blah, blah, blah. Well, then you could still kind of show maybe his legs in front as he's peeking out of the cave or something like that. If you
I
don't want
wanted to know why
it would have been nice to see a whole crate dragon on film.
Exactly.
Why did he need a cave?
Sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
Why did he need a cave? He's a sandworm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Budgeting is doing the best that you have with the money that you have and still coming up with, the result that you're supposed to get.
It looks great.
Do you think Star Wars is budgeting now? Like that's insane. Like
Everything has a budget. It does.
Yeah.
It does. CGI has a budget, costuming has a budget, craft services has a budget. That's how it breaks down to numbers. So I don't like the excuse of, well, it wasn't in the budget to do X, Y, and Z effects. Okay, well, then take the technology down and do the same thing. So there's wiggle room to work in there.
yeah.
Well, if RJ can make that sea cow for $1 million.
Well, they
be able to give us a crate dragon. If George Lucas can create all those steel motion things of like the space battles and stuff, not even on a budget, because he was like not on a studio budget, his own money, because he was rejected by Hollywood during that time, then they could do that too.
Yeah, and didn't JJ or RJ go to like the desert and take the green screen? Like, I mean,
No,
what kind of budget are we talking about here? I don't know.
I will say one thing, one good use of the budget, I call it the sand dingo, like the dog that was with the sand people.
Oh my God, that was adorable.
The way the dog was looking at Baby Yoda like it was a snack was one of the funniest freaking things I thought that was funny.
I was grateful. I was so grateful for that because I need them to maintain a sense of humor about Baby Yoda, right?
Yeah.
I really need for them to not treat Baby Yoda like he's a sacred cow and holier than thou and can't be looked at like he ate a fucking frog. All right, he downed that frog in one bite,
and he threw it up too.
If Baby Yoda can just grab a cute little frog and swallow it, then yeah, you can have the sand dog looking at Baby Yoda like he's a snack.
Yeah, he's like, that's a Scooby snack right there.
And if Game of Thrones can show us dragons and stuff, and their budget is probably lower than Disney's budget for Star Wars, then we could have seen a crate dragon. That's the only thing. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm actually content to accept the crate worm under the condition that they classify it as a subspecies. Don't look me in the eye. All right, we both know that we're talking about KOTOR here when we're talking about this fucking episode. We both know that we know what a crate dragon looks like. Don't look me in the eye having just done an homage to KOTOR and then tell me that this is a crate dragon now. No, you need to tell me, okay, so this is a subspecies, it's a different species of crate, right? Like this is something else, and we don't expect you to redefine how you know a crate dragon to be because of us, right? That's the slap in the face. So if it's some point, and this is a super easy fix for them, right? Because it never says explicitly in the show that this is the crate dragon, right? It says it's a crate dragon. So go on to Wikipedia and handle your shit and reclassify. Oh, now there's another subspecies of crate dragon, and this happens to be one of them, and I will be fine. I will be perfectly fine with this. That's all you need to do. Don't tell me to accept this as the crate dragon standard, though. That's the slap in the face.
And we still have Jawas with red eyes, and so I guess that's just a significant.
I know. Yeah. I know. I was so pissed. I was like, why the fuck are their eyes red again? These aren't Jawas then. Like, this is the subspecies of Jawas now. Like, why the fuck are their eyes red? I was actually pissing and moaning about that to Andrew when we were watching.
I didn't like that either.
Their fucking eyes are red. He was like, I thought they were yellow. And I was like, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
That pissed me off right up there with the windmill thing, okay?
She's like, damn it, the windmill should be moving.
They're like Sith Jawas? Yeah, like red eyes?
They're now depicting him with red eyes, and that's how it is now. And you'll like it and you'll eat it. And I'm just like,
boy, that escalated quickly.
Not gonna like it.
Saying Mary's been really nice on here.
Oh, of course. That's why I have you back here with the Slytherin mask on your face. Yeah.
I never
He's
said
right
Baby
next
Yoda
to
wasn't
Deadpool.
I never said Baby Yoda wasn't cute. I said he's problematic canonically speaking. He goes in direct opposition to what the person, and I know Tom's gonna poke his fucking head out when I bring up midi-chlorians, but but we know who had the highest midi-chlorian count. That's Anakin. And if Anakin at the ripe old age of 9 years old was not capable of force play, I know you're gonna do that shit. Just let me finish, Tom. Please just let me finish.
Lord, this gives me
If
a headache.
Anakin at the ripe old age of 9 years old can't force pull a power cup link and reconnect that pod while he's in massive danger in the middle of a pod race, and I don't understand why Baby Yoda is able to lift a 3-ton rhinoceros space rhinoceros.
He's 50.
He's still a baby. His development level is that of an infant.
I didn't know you knew that. I didn't know you knew that. You're the writer now?
He's a baby. He's eating frogs, Tom. He's eating frogs.
My dog will eat a frog probably if I let her.
Yeah, your dog
What's
is
your point?
stupid. We're assuming.
Did you see the shit that Yoda ate?
Yeah, Yoda ate a bunch of crap.
I'm convinced that he's fucking sitting there laughing his ass off, making Luke eat like frog shit.
He's a baby.
Because that was really nasty.
Tom, canonically speaking, its name is the Child. Okay, it's the Child. Stop using his 50 when they literally named it the Child. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's gonna come out that that's not his name. Like, come on.
He doesn't have a name. He's a baby. No one's given him a name.
But at some point, he's gonna
of.
probably himself. He's probably gonna reveal his own name. That's like, isn't that the whole point?
What's gonna be funny is he's gonna talk and he's gonna sound just like some old guy, and y'all are just gonna go, what the fuck?
I totally think that that's exactly what's gonna happen. I think he's gonna talk and he's gonna be like a perfect, like, he knows exactly what to say, and he's just going to be like, yeah, my name is this, by the way.
I have
If that thing
I'll tell you what.
starts talking, I'm going to the stockholders meeting and losing my damn mind. Okay.
Don't tell me what they will do. Don't tell me what they will do. We can only point at what they have done. And he's cooing and gooing and eyeing and blowing bubbles and shit. Like, this is a baby. All right.
Because Yoda acts like the great Jedi warrior that he was the moment he met Luke.
Oh my God. Yoda lived to 900 years old. Yoda lived to 900 years
Here's the thing
old.
I gotta keep reminding people. Yoda liked to fuck with people.
This isn't Yoda. That's a
He's
personality.
the same species, and I bet you he's got the same sense of humor. I'm willing to bet he's gonna start talking. He's like, you guys are motherfucking stupid. I can talk all this time.
You're telling me that a species that lives to be 900 years old is going to be at adulthood by the age of 50? Like, no, this is a child. This is a kid. This is a baby, right? Mm-hmm. It only makes sense for you to scale that infancy time up when you have a species that lives to 900 years old. Their development just takes longer.
I understand that. We've had this argument a million times, and I'm not trying to get an argument either. But again, I also point out, how do we know he's not, made maybe by the Force? Like
how
he may not have a mom and a daddy. He may have been more, maybe he was even stronger than a virgins in the Force. Maybe he is created by the Force.
Then
better not be.
Then you better show me that shit, and I want to know why it was Rey who was doing all that stupid shit in the sequel.
Because Rey doesn't count. Yoda's actually the real, because here's what I was thinking, and again, this is me just going off on my own fucking thing. Because if you go by the age of baby Yoda, he and Anakin would have been born roughly the same time. And if Anakin is yin, this baby Yoda is a yang.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Tom, I'm sorry, but none of this has been displayed in the show. I'm going off of what's been shown.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Until such time, I have to go off of what's been shown to me, not start defending it with facts and things with things that have
I'm just
not
saying.
happened.
I think that's an important thing to point out, though. And if there's a virgins in the Force,
Tom,
if there's already a virgins in the Force on one end, and he goes to the dark side, then wouldn't the Force try and balance itself? Isn't that the whole point? Is the Force is always trying to balance itself?
No, that's new.
That's not what it's about.
Bullshit. No. Jesus Christ. Oh, cow. All right, we're way off.
Then what the fuck is Anakin then if he's not bringing balance to the Force by coming back to the light side?
Anakin was a product of the Sith tampering
Dolphin
with the
love, then I guess.
Yeah, sort of.
That's my point. That's my point. If the dark side of the Force created a vergence in the Force, don't you think the light side of the Force would compensate?
The dark side of the Force didn't create a vergence in the Force. Plagueis did.
Well, isn't he part of the dark side of the Force?
Oh my God, that is like
no, Anakin's not. The Force made Anakin in rebuttal against Plagueis.
Yeah. Tom, can I just say, I think
that's not how the story tells it.
Whatever you're coming up with in your head, Tom, is 1,000 times more creative than the shit that
he flat out said Plagueis figured out how to create life. Insinuating that either he or fucking Plagueis were the ones that put that baby in that belly.
No. The Force made Anakin encounter a Plagueis messing with the Force itself.
Then tell me why he says that in episode 3, because he flat out fucking
he is trying to seduce him so that he can turn him to the dark side.
Holy cow.
Okay, so let's go.
Let's move on.
Next.
And on that note.
All right, so now we go into them going and talking with the Tuskens about the problem with the Krayt dragon. So yes, and I see this in some remnants of Kenobi novel in a sense as well, but it made better sense than this, because Asherad Het and his dad Sharad Het had an influence on them through the Force. They went there and taught that particular tribe how to defend themselves against the settlers. And in the Tusken lore, settlers are basically nobodies. They're beneath the Sand People. They don't like them. They don't like technology. The Banthas are their they form bonds with Banthas and think that they're sacred as well. So and that's in both. So
Banthas are like the sacred cows
exactly.
And that's another thing. It's like a casual, as someone who's only seen the movies. It's like I wouldn't even know that.
Yeah.
But that would be in the show, though. Actually.
Yeah, and so I say that was kind of remnants to that a little bit, but to me, like I said, it made more sense because of our Sharad's Het special powers of being once a Jedi and whatever, and trying to distance himself from the galaxy. And how he got adopted was when Tuskens adopt you, or when they invite you into their tribe, or even to visit and stuff, you friggin' go through like a jump. Basically, they're like gangsters in a sense. They jump you. If you survive, either you're adopted in the tribe or you're worthy enough to sit with them. Yeah.
And I will give you this. It is kind of bizarre, not unprecedented, but it is kind of bizarre that Mando knew how to speak Tusken. It's not unheard of, but typically speaking, if you're going, first of all, if you're going to interact with Sand People, you're probably going to die. But if you manage to get out of that situation, it's because you probably had a protocol droid. Because that's generally because it's really hard to even interact with Sand People and live through that particular ordeal. But if you do, it's because you're able to communicate with them and offer them something that they really fucking want, because 9 times out of 10 they're just not going to give a damn. So but it was really bizarre that he was able to speak Tusken. Not that it's unheard of, it's been done, just not often at all.
That just like because of off there.
And so it's within it's plausible, but maybe not probable.
Being able to speak Tusken doesn't seem like that's something a lot of people know.
Yeah, and also to pick it up just by visiting Tatooine one time, and this is your second time, and being able to pick up like such a language and stuff that is pretty harsh on the humans' vocals. And mind you, Tuskens are not humans whatsoever. They are a species that in Star Wars, and I can't think of the name now.
They're animals, and he slaughtered them like animals.
There you go, and that's how they see each other and stuff. Well, anyways, over the evolution of Star Wars. This is in the EU, or the original lore. I don't know. I have to look it up if it's in from the new lore. Humans and all the humans and even the Tuscans evolved from one stock of like species a way back then, and then since then they evolved and are very, very different looking to where they don't even look the same, and they can't reproduce together. So yeah,
it's pretty way down the evolutionary line. Yeah. So
Yeah.
And the way that they speak is very kind of guttural.
Yes.
It's not something that you would pick up even just by listening to them. It's something that you would have to seriously sort of study. And so I find it really hard that this sort of secluded Mandalorian who hides from the world, as per how the show has depicted him to us via his culture, sort of managed this. Not beyond belief, but difficult enough that I looked twice at it and was like, what?
I would have preferred that there was some kind of explanation for that. If he would have given some kind of story in passing how he happened,
it felt akin to Han speaking Wookiee.
Yes,
that too. Also, too, because humans cannot speak Chiri-Wook at all within the original lore, but they did that because they had to, move
that
the
was
scene.
Just
I don't know.
Fucking stupid, because evidently Chewie has no problem understanding what Han says. Same thing, vice versa.
Can't vocalize it the same way.
They don't need to.
Yeah,
they
that was the weird
part.
To
speak to each other already. That's
knows
the point.
How to speak English.
Exactly.
Why on doing this? Yeah, Chewie knows how to speak. Chewie knows how to understand English. Why are you doing this? Anyway, I know we have some super chats getting piling up here, and I know we've got our next topic to get to for the night. So we'll do we want to wrap up final thoughts on this before we get into these super chats?
Yeah, I guess we can. All right, so I'll go since I began this, and you guys can make your rounds here. You guys know I love to compare and contrast between the lores, and me, I will, say, hey, this is what I see that, it's either breaking this lore or they really changed it from the original lore kind of thing, and this is the direction they're going. And I really think that this felt like a filler more than anything else for, an episode 1 in the beginning of the series. So I agree with Lorena on that. And, some of the stuff that I didn't agree with, but doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy it either. So that's where I stand. And I would probably give it a 7 or 6.5 out of 10 because of that.
That's about what I would give it. I gave it a letter grade of like a C. It probably would have been higher if it was an episode that premiered later on in the season. The storyline was okay. Like I said, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I had some technical questions, about it, but that's just how detail oriented I can be about some of this stuff. So it wasn't a bad effort. Again, it's just the episode was in the wrong place. And I think that if they would have gone with an episode that was more intense on wrapping up those loose ends that were displayed in the season finale, it would have gotten a higher grade from me.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and grade it as well. I would give this a B+. Now again, I have criticisms of it as well, but I don't think anything is above criticism. And so I think that even if you genuinely love something, and I really did enjoy this episode, that it's important to keep that sort of balanced perspective in place whenever possible. Do I have criticisms of it with the Crate Dragon? And do I feel like it would have been better served as an episode 2 or episode 3 of the season? Absolutely. But overall, I really adored the homage to KOTOR. I felt like I was somewhere both familiar and new. Simultaneously, there are some things that don't line up, but it was a really fun episode for me, and it had way more hits than it did misses on this one for me. So I remain optimistic for the rest of the season. We'll see where things go. All right. Yeah, there's that. Nina hasn't seen it.
And I won't be seeing it because I am sick of after the return or the return of, what was that one called? The Last Jedi, sorry.
Last Jedi?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. The Last Jedi, I refused to watch the rise of Rey Patine, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done until somebody tells me, no, Nina, come back to Star Wars. They fixed it. Wait,
and did you just say Rey Patine?
Yeah.
Phrasing! Phrasing!
R-A R-E-Y, Ray Patine.
I know. I was just picking.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I didn't hate the episode, but I didn't also love it. Like, I really did dig like the last portion of the last season. I mean, it took me a little while to warm up to it. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll stick up for Baby Yoda, but outside of that, I mean, there's very little for me to hang on to this show. This episode to me felt like it drug out, and it was basically the same story we got with that one episode with the Jawas. Only this time it was sand people. So I hope they don't continue to do this. Yeah, we're just gonna get the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over again, because I'm gonna get turned off. Because you did not have enough Baby Yoda in this episode to keep my interest.
No.
Now, Timothy Oliphant, on the other hand, again, if they can bring him back, I'll be all on board for it. Because I was more interested in him than the Mando. I thought, he was great in it. But yeah, we got some super chats here, and Sister Harrow sent us one just now from Australia. Sent in $5. Says, "Hail, ladies and Tom. Hope all are well. Dropping past to show support." Well, thank you so much. And speaking of support, we got some great support from all of you. We got some super chats. So if you ladies want to start at the top on those.
Yep. I'll go ahead and kick us off. Culture Casino sends a Doom McCoy. Doom. Thank you so much for the love for the culture. We appreciate you. And we'll kick it over to Nina. We'll just go clockwise here.
Kulex81 for $2 Australian says, "Will season 3 be a woman Delarian?"
Oh, it would be the woman Delarian. The woman DeLorean. Woman DeLorean.
Woman Delarian. I thought that's what's going to happen this season. I thought he was going to take off his helmet and he was going to be a woman. So.
I'm on board with a Cara Dune show.
I was gonna say, let him die and give her the fucking shit. There you go.
Right? Yeah. Well, the next one, another one from CoolX81 for $2 Australian. Thank you. Time travel plot, the Mandalorian. I guess the DeLorean. Back to the Future. Okay.
Marty, we gotta get you back to the future.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Great pun.
Okay.
Nice. All right. What Baby Yoda thinks of Pedro? $2. I disagree. I'm cute. F haters.
No one says he's not cute. No one says he's not cute. Everybody thinks he's cute. Eric Carlson for $5 says, "Guys, we've never seen a crate dragon in any film Star Wars media ever. They made one look as fierce as the mentions in the media suggest. Chill. Except that the problem is you call this a crate dragon and you do an homage to KOTOR and you throw it up there as something that isn't even remotely reminiscent of what we know a crate dragon to be. And so, yes, that is a slap in the face of OG Star Wars fans who have an understanding of crate dragons. They could have made this look fierce without going the worm route. Trust me, crate dragons are fierce looking. Crate dragons are very fierce looking. My problem is, don't look a Star Wars fan in the face and tell them, that thing you loved, well, it's this now. Get over it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because as an OG fan, it really kind of irritated me because I'm like, yeah, Obi-Wan did the crate dragon call. The sand people lost their crap and went running. I want to see how ominous and menacing this dragon is. So if we're looking for a dragon, don't give us a worm. I mean, don't.
And it's also in the comics how the crate dragons are designed as well. So it is in the comics, and then it's well descriptive in the books. And then if you listen to like Kenobi novel, where Obi-Wan Kenobi when they make the crate dragon call, how it sounds, you really want to hear that as well. Is like how it really sounds. Why did Kenobi or Obi-Wan call out how he did, and how come it didn't sound like that or similar to that in the show?
I'm going to go in my Star Wars comic stash and see if I can find a crate dragon.
Yeah, they're cool looking.
Yes, they are.
They really are very cool looking. Some like I think it's the greater crate dragon has like 6 legs. It's really freaking cool.
Something like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
So Eric sends another $2. Thank you so much, Eric. Says there are way more salient criticisms of Cath Wars.
Look, we're not. You have to understand, man. Lobbing a criticism at a show doesn't mean that you hate it. Doesn't mean that you don't think people should watch it, and doesn't mean that we want the show to be discontinued or canceled. But it is important to keep them honest here and to call out. I'm not saying that there aren't more salient criticisms. That's not an untrue or inaccurate statement. But this is what we're discussing right now. This is what's on the table. Mandalorian just came out. This is where the conversation lies at this moment, and none of the things that we are saying is untrue. Now, are there some? Do I think that there are some people who nitpick? Absolutely, but I don't think that it's a nitpick to look at something that has already been characterized on the page and on the screen in front of us, and for them to alter that in such a way as to go, okay, but the thing you liked is this now. That's not a criticism that is unworthy of being voiced. So,
yeah,
but you're of course entitled to your opinion, Eric.
Absolutely. So next we have Lady Tariel for $5. Thank you, my dear. She says you're both wrong. He's a troll in disguise.
That's a reference to Baby Yoda.
Oh, it's cute.
Yeah.
He is a little troll, isn't he? He's adorable.
Troll directed.
All right, what Baby Yoda thinks of Pedro? $5. Thank you again so much. Plagueis knew what his manipulations would cause. He used the balance against itself. Actually, no, he didn't. He was trying to create, trying to do a Sith army, or trying to create more Sith so he can, gain access and power over the galaxy.
But thank you for the super chat, and we do appreciate your Fat Steven Seagal beat up Ryan Johnson for Canadian $2. Says the child is secretly Baby Jar Jar infused with love. Aww.
I wouldn't hate that.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
You take that back.
It's fine. I think he meant well by that.
I love Jar Jar, so I wouldn't mind that. Adam
Jar Jar's the
Wolford
key to all this. We can get him to work.
for $5. Thank you so much. Says back in the 90s, me and my friends thought Yoda was made by the Force because the tabletop game came out and you couldn't play as a Yoda race.
That's because Yoda's race was meant to be obscure. They weren't meant to be discussed. George Lucas didn't want us trying to get into the depths of the Yoda race, as it were. He wanted them to be left the hell alone. And so if you have a Yoda race in a game, a tabletop game, then you have to start exploring the characteristics of this race, and you can no longer leave that obscure. So
yeah, he wanted them to be mysterious.
But no, Yoda was definitely not made by the Force. There are other of Yoda's species throughout the galaxy. We've seen them.
How you know?
Yaddle most notably.
She looks kind of, but she doesn't look exactly like Yoda. You know if she's the same
They're
species.
clearly the same race.
How do you know? Does it say it somewheres? Is it in writing somewheres in your little EU books?
It was the ears, Tom.
Matt G.
Oh, so you're just assuming that just because they both have big ears
and are green.
That species is anyway.
So racist.
Matt G for $2. Baby Yoda's first name is actually Rick. His question is his last name Ashley?
Oh my god.
Never gonna give, never gonna.
Oh my god, that was great.
All right. So Jeffrey Turner at $2. Thank you so much. George Lucas initially planned Palp saying, "I'm your father" in Revenge of the Sith. Whatever he attended, if it didn't make it in the movies and stuff, it didn't happen. So
yeah, it's not canon. I reject your canon and substitute my own.
Never gonna give, never gonna.
Adam Woodward for $5 says that when speaking and using signal language, the signal while talking is simple and amplifying what you are saying. It's simple and not too complex. I'm not sure what you're referencing there exactly. Do any of you ladies
the sand people?
Yeah, I think you guys were talking about the sand people language.
Oh, the fact that it's like guttural. I mean, like
the hand signals in addition to the guttural.
Yeah,
people.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
That's what Luke says in the first movie.
They are. No, they're legitimate.
Yeah.
Sand people are legitimately terrible. They
Yeah.
are legitimately terrible.
They are.
And it's okay, you can say
horrible.
sand people, just don't say sand man or men, because we found out there are sand women in this movie.
Yeah.
For show.
Right.
There's that because they say she to one of them, so it must be like dwarves to where they all look the same.
Well, they're all wearing stuff, Tom.
Yeah,
But what's underneath? I want to know what's underneath.
Google it. It's not that hard to find out what they look like underneath.
Is it bad?
It's not
Oh,
good.
no.
I can live without knowing that.
Yeah, I think I'll keep the mystery alive for myself.
Yeah,
Maybe they wear
Yeah.
different clothing to denote what their gender is.
They don't.
I'm gonna pretend in my head canon that they're beautiful people.
You're
Do
welcome
that,
to do that. You'll still be wrong.
Larry, is it my turn? I'm sorry. Am I?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Larry, thank you so much for the $3. Says pair characters pair, right? Oh.
Yeah. Their
Character
character.
stretching his arm forward and raising his thumb.
It's a super sticker. It's a pair.
Yeah.
Give it a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, that's right, because Anakin slayed the women and children too.
Yes. Yes,
Oh
That-
my god!
That cheeky bastard.
I killed him. I killed him.
Anakin not only did not like sand, he didn't like the sand people as well.
Mm. Anything associated with sand, pretty much. Adam Wofford for $2. The tabletop game had the crate dragon in the 90s.
He's saying craft because it's a joke now. Everybody's making craft dragon jokes. Yeah.
Like craft cheese or craft paper.
No one says Sandman. It's Tuscan's.
I'm just
Tuscan
being
character.
facetiously funny because there's ladies now, but I guess there was ladies before. I didn't think about it because Anakin, that
The
little
women
rascal.
and the children. They're animals. And I slaughtered them like animals.
I haven't had Kraft mac and cheese in years, and now I want some.
You don't
No.
want it.
It's Kraft cheese and macaroni.
I
This is
find I enjoy the Walmart brand just as much. So.
Velveeta shells and cheese is the best.
Oh, so
and,
you like-
and the Walmart knockoff of Velveeta shells and cheese.
So you like shit
Oh.
powder and cardboard? Gotcha.
There's powder packets in Kraft too, Tom.
Yeah, but it's better because it's Kraft.
No, it's not.
I didn't mean to spark this conversation.
I'm just being an
I,
asshole.
How dare you? How dare you, Nina? How dare you?
I just kept seeing the Kraft thing, and I'm like, it's been a while since I've had Kraft mac and
All right,
cheese.
why don't we go ahead and move on to our next topic for
Yes.
the night?
Did we
And
get
I'll go
all
ahead
the
and pull
super
this-
chats or
We're in
I
there.
think
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Adam Wolford was the last one? Okay, yep.
Yeah.
And then we got one just came in here from Terminus Est. Says or EST, sorry.
Let's see. I'm not sure whose turn we were on. Was it
I
Alora?
think it's Alora.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and do it.
Laura, if you want to do it, Laura, go ahead.
All right, Terminus at $2. The episode shows Favreau at his most creative.
Are you really Stieg? I'm convinced that Terminus EST is really Stieg.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen them on like in the
Are you
same
sure?
place at the same time. I don't think it's the same person.
They're
You sure
definitely
Stieg
not.
just
Here we
doesn't?
go. They're definitely not the same person.
All right, I got to get out of.
All right. So, if you guys have been paying attention to Twitter or anyone's channels today, you may have noticed that this was trending over on Twitter, and God help us all. I am so mad. Now, I want to preface this with I never actually thought that Johnny Depp was going to for sure win this case. I thought it was possible he could win the case, but I didn't think for sure that he would. But the way that this went down was really horrible. So Johnny Depp did lose his court case against the newspaper, The Sun, that called him a wife, insert word here, that will probably get kicked off of YouTube for saying. So, and God, that's a horrible thing to call somebody, especially when you consider how much stuff went down in this case, to point to the fact that at best, this was a mutual mistreatment of one another. Although I tend to believe that Johnny Depp has more leg to stand on when it comes to, because he didn't fake anything, right?
Fuck a finger off.
She cut her finger off. Yeah.
Cut his finger off.
Mhm.
And the only thing that she had pictures of always seemed to magically disappear the next day. So Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this. Johnny Depp loses his court case against newspaper. They called him a wife. Word we're not going to say. I accept. This is the judge's ruling. God, you fucking prick. I accept that Mr. Depp put her in fear of her life, a British judge wrote, dismissing the actor's libel case on Monday. Johnny Depp on Monday lost his court case against a British newspaper. They called him this word right here, and claimed that there was.
Isn't that the same thing as what men wear, like the men's tank top? Isn't that?
It is. That's what they call it.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, that is what they call it. And claimed that there was overwhelming evidence that he had assaulted the actress Amber Heard repeatedly during their marriage. Mr. Depp's assaults included headbutting, Miss Heard repeatedly hitting her and tearing out clumps of her hair, wrote Andrew Nichol, the British judge who heard the case in a ruling issued online Monday. In dismissing the case, he said the defendants had shown that what they published was substantially true. Now, I'm going to try to refrain, but I'm going to come back to that right there. I'm going to come back to that shit. The assaults must have been terrifying, the judge wrote, regarding incidents in March 2015 in Australia, in which Miss Heard said that Mr. Depp assaulted her several times, including smashing a telephone beside her face. Incidentally, they went in to check that telephone the next day, and the people who owned the property were like, there's nothing wrong with that telephone. What are you talking about? I accept that Mr. Depp put her in fear for her life. Oh, I'm sorry. You know who was in fear for his life? Freaking Johnny Depp. Her sister Whitney was like, I was worried she was going to kill him. Quotation marks there, people. But she was in fear for her life. Please go ahead, ladies.
I've never heard a judge sound like this.
Yeah, me either.
It's so one-sided and biased, not factual, just no.
Just taking the side of the newspaper in general.
Exactly.
This is definitely, there's nothing to see here. The newspaper is right. Get out of here. Like, that's pretty much it. It's like, did the newspaper hire you?
Here's the thing, and SP4H brings up an interesting point here, not to cut in or mansplain or anything like that, but Mr. H brought this up to me too. Like, I guess that this is just a typical fucking bunch of horse shit over there. Like, they are so fucking far gone over there.
Yeah, because that just looks so foreign to me to hear that. I've never heard a judge, at least over here in the States, if a judge was doing something like that, no. Ugh. Yeah. Man.
So yeah. Anyway, I mean, look, like I said, I can't really get into this too much, but it's obvious. I don't believe her. There's more than enough proof that I shouldn't have to believe her. And frankly, this is just nothing but a fucking circus. And if this is the way fucking it works over there, God help you people, I tell you. I feel sorry for you.
It just hearing the tape and the way and the things that she said to him, it's like, how can you not see she's full of crap and manipulative, and she's not as innocent? The assault must have been terrifying. Well, must have been terrifying for Johnny Depp, according to those tapes.
Well, wasn't there like videotapes of him like hiding himself in the bathroom, like too?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Well, there were videotapes of her like pushing against the door and stuff. But
that's the one. There's audio of that incident, and she still sounds like the aggressor the whole time.
Yeah, she sounds fucking crazy. Yeah. But this is very clearly judicial activism, is what this is. This is poor Amber Heard. He was very clearly biased in this, and so it's kind of like the judge is literally putting forward these antiquated ideas that only men can be abusers that we're actually trying so hard to fight against. Because in a world where equality is so important, why is it that you push forward after seeing everything? He lost his fingertip to this woman. Constant people like coming in, and there are so many instances where people came in, like his bodyguards were like, yeah, she was constantly threatening him, constantly attacking him, right? where you have documented incidents of her before, but even before Johnny Depp, where she beat the hell out of her previous girlfriend, right? Incidents where we've got it on tape, where her sister is being questioned by her friends. Her sister Whitney is being questioned over and over by her friends. Oh, so Amber beat the hell out of you? Really? And her sister won't, because she knows she's being recorded. She's like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to.
Well, I think the most damning thing is the fact that almost every single one of his fucking exes came out in his defense.
Yes. There's not a single woman who's dated Johnny Depp prior to this moment who has come out and said, oh yeah, you know what? That rings true. Everyone have come out to defend him, which is bizarre because these relationships are ended over, some of them badly. And so for them to come
and most of them, he was extremely, high and drunk.
I know at least a handful of people that know Johnny Depp. I have not heard one bad fucking thing about him. In fact, I've heard the absolute opposite. I've heard he's the most generous, genuine, down-to-earth, nicest actor in most cases. Like, he has never been somebody who let a lot of the fame go to his head. And yeah, he's got a bit of an alcohol problem and he loves to lavish, his friends with gifts and shit like that. But outside of that, I've heard nothing bad about him ever. This is the first time ever.
I've heard he likes to live above his means. And obviously he has the substance abuse issues. And for me, what's really bizarre is the lack of sympathy for someone. Clearly, these people have never suffered substance issues. Clearly, these people have never suffered anything that would lead them to understand the battle with being dependent on something. Because when you're in that situation, it's a whole different world that you're trying to fight through. And so, would his judgment be? Would his judgment be skewed in certain situations? Do I think he's possibly have been prone to throwing things at times? Absolutely. Especially if you put him in a situation with someone who starts shouting things like, oh, no one's going to believe you.
Exactly. Like that kind of thing too. And not only that, I mean, Johnny is one of those, he kind of blew up. Like, he'd been around for years and nobody really paid attention to him. And then all of a sudden he blew up with Pirates of the Caribbean and shit. And like he knew
who he was.
We knew who he was, but like he was never an A-lister before that. Like outside of Tim Burton movies, you go look, he has never been like this big, grandiose star. It wasn't until Pirates of the Caribbean where he became this big 20, 30, $40 million actor. So he had this sudden influx of extreme fame. Like, yeah, he's always been subtly famous, but he's never been like Harrison Ford famous until Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, that's what I'm getting at. And then all of a sudden here you got a guy later on in life, and then you add in just some of the shit that he's been through. Like, a lot of people forget that he had one of his best friends die in his fucking arms.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been through a lot of fucked up shit. So I'm sure that like there's a lot of demons and shit this guy's never dealt with. But that's one thing I've never heard is I've never heard of him being loud. Never heard of him making.
No, he's a very mild-mannered guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not even the kind of person who even likes to get into fights and shit. So it just makes no sense at all. I'm sorry. I've been a fan of Johnny Depp's since I was really young because he was in Nightmare on Elm Street and 21 Jump Street and shit when I was a kid. So like I've always followed his career. Yeah. And like, so I remember on this, like I kept saying, like, this guy's going to be big someday. You just watch. And again, like all of a sudden, boom, he's huge. He's everywhere. And, he's that it guy all of a sudden. And then that's what happens when you become at the top. Somebody wants to tear you the fuck down.
I always loved Johnny from Edward Scissorhands.
That was a cool movie.
Yeah, I'll be completely. I saw him in Edward Scissorhand. Obviously, I saw him in I loved him in Sweeney Todd. That was like a big one for me. Obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean. But I've always seen, and anytime you ever see him, like you have to acknowledge that this is a very mild-mannered guy, right? He's always been very calm and quiet and very good to his fans. But even setting all of that aside, like I kind of want to get back to this article a little bit here because I want to acknowledge how unhelpful what this judge did here was. So the judge also acknowledged the risk Miss Heard had taken in speaking up about the violence. I also accept that Miss Heard's allegations have had a negative effect on her career as an actor and an activist. That's not true. None of that is true in any way, shape, or form. This has done nothing but propel her forward as an activist. No one has in any way, shape, or form. Like there are people who are supporting Johnny, but in terms of her activism work, she's been pushed to the forefront of all of this domestic victim bullshit, right? It's interesting to me that when her ex-girlfriend was laying allegations down about her abusing her and harming her, that she wasn't an activist then. But now, in order to push her own facade forward, the perspective that she was herself harmed, now she's an activist. Now she wants, this hasn't harmed her activism, and it hasn't even harmed her career work. She's still going on as Mira. How has this hurt her career in any way? I don't see anything being pulled from her. I'd like to see, I'm honest, if I'm being honest, I don't want to see her in the role of Mira.
I think that it will hurt her in the long run in terms of like the fact that I think personally that most people aren't going to go to the theater to see her as Mira. Like they did probably once.
I'm sure as hell not going to.
Yeah, me either. Like, and I love Aquaman and I love Jason Momoa, but because of her, like I'm not going to the second one. So, and I'm not telling anyone else to not go, but it's just a personal choice that I'm making. And I think a lot of people will probably make that choice as well. And I think that in the long run, it'll hit the studios in their pockets for keeping her as that. So therefore, they'll be like, oh God, this shit stain is not going to go away, personally.
I hope that it does. But
Hey,
I do want to note the kind of weird, bizarre, whoever wrote this New York Times article needs to like seriously consider how they line stuff up.
Well, I want to ask you all a serious question here that Nina kind of brought up. Now, I kind of got how she feels about this, but do the rest of you feel the same way? Do you think there's going to be enough of the general normie audience that knows enough about this shit here that will be detoured from something like Aquaman 2, or do you think they're just not going to give a shit?
I don't know with Aquaman 2 because Aquaman 1 went over so well. That's a good question. I think it'll have an impact. I certainly think it will have an impact, but probably not enough to actually remove her from the role. I know time will tell on that in terms of whether or not it actually does impact Aquaman 2. But enough for them to pull her from the role. But I can say this, I think there are enough people in this community who are paying close enough, and this did blow up. You have to admit, this blew the hell up. That there's enough people within this community, within the DC fandom community, who are going to look at this and going to go, yeah, no.
And that's the other thing too. I think that the normies actually did notice a lot, because I've seen a lot of tweets from normies and stuff like that from when it first started and how everyone came out for her, and they were like, Amber, and like down with patriarchy and this abusive man, and even if he's rich, like F you Johnny, blah blah blah, right? Fast forward to now, a lot of those people are changing their tune with all the evidence that has continuously come out showing that she's a psycho bitch. People are like, okay, well, you know what? Sorry, Johnny. Like, it seems like you were the victim in this. That's what I've seen from normal.
I would say there's a difference between, I would say, our community and the normie community, because honestly, I think there's too many people who are in the normie community who think that Amber Turd can do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah. There's that. There's some of them, I don't care. I want to see her in the movie. Bump Johnny Depp. Then you have the people, in the fandom community, because I know, like myself, I wasn't really paying attention to this. I mean, I love Johnny Depp, so I'm just like, oh man, I hope none of this is true. And then the tape comes out, and I didn't really know who Amber Heard was, but all this stuff about her put her on my radar. And now it's like I can't even, as much as I love Aquaman, as much as I love Jason Momoa,
yeah, I've been able to
watch that with her in it. And women like her who give battered men a bad name for seeking help. That's what I see.
But that's
not just even, I'm sorry, Mary, one more point. And not just even battered men. This chick actually, use a sexual assault story as her own from her own assistant. She is the bottom of the barrel bad for me, and I can't stand women like her. People who use those kind of stories and stuff like that. I mean, no.
Well, here's what blows my mind about this. And it was that this writer put these two things back to back. The judge acknowledged the risks Miss Heard had taken in speaking up about the violence, that it had a negative effect on her career as an actor and activist. And in the next paragraph says, women's rights groups in Britain praised the decision. This is an important ruling and one which we hope sends a very powerful message. Every single survivor of domestic abuse should be listened to and should be heard. But you didn't give that to Johnny Depp, did you? He's a victim of domestic abuse here. This man suffered hell. He lost his fingertip to this woman. He was beaten. He was demeaned. He was talked down to. When he tried to sit down and have a civil conversation with her and say, look, we can't keep doing this over and over again. And he's like, you can't keep hitting me. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Or you can't keep punching me. And she's like, I'm sorry. I didn't slap you the way a woman's supposed to slap a man. That I didn't that I didn't leave my hand open, but you weren't punched. That's bullshit. And then
she said something. Oh, I didn't hurt you, Johnny. I didn't hurt you. You're fine. You're fine. I was like, dude, what the?
It was just so freaking insulting and emotional abuse and all of that. It was just absolutely disgusting.
I don't understand. I guess I do understand because it's a women's rights group that's praising this decision.
And the Me Too, the Me Too people who think that women, believe all women. Remember that hashtag? Believe all women. Doesn't matter if they pull crap like this. You're supposed to believe her.
Should we believe her should we believe her assistant that says that she stole her rape, sexual assault story? I mean, that's insane.
Should we believe her? Should we believe her sister's employer who said that the reason that she had to come sleep in her house was because she was afraid for Johnny's life? Which women should we believe? I'm sorry, but there are a lot of women here in this situation who came to give evidence against Amber Heard. But Amber Heard's the one who's the domestic abuse victim here, right? Johnny had to be concerned for his life, right? But Jesus Christ, I don't understand this antiquated notion that women are always the victim. How are you simultaneously trying to empower us and victimize us? I do not understand this shit. I really do not understand this shit. It's not just a slap in the face of every man who suffers through a domestic abuse. And yes, men can suffer through domestic abuse. It's a slap in the face of every real victim out there. Every victim who legitimately found themselves in a situation where they were being physically and emotionally abused by someone without doing anything to start this shit. All right. Like there's a difference between Amber Heard punching Johnny Depp in the face and then him throwing something because he's getting sick of her shit, and a woman who was slammed against a wall and had the hell beat out of her because he is an asshole. Those are two different things. And they've labeled him a wife beater. They've labeled him a woman abuser. But that's not what the facts of this trial brought to light. It brought to light a very disgusting, very, very problematic, very tumultuous relationship where neither of them needed to be. And I'm not saying that Johnny Depp was perfect here, because I'm sure that he did things he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I mean, he fed into that toxic relationship and he should have been out of there way sooner. He let that go on. And you know what? Whatever the case is, either way, they were abusive towards each other. And at the very least,
but can I just point out, Nina, and I'm not mansplaining at all, but did you just hear what you just said there? Like, you basically said that he should take responsibility for certain things too. Now, if he truly is the victim, isn't that the problem though? Isn't that the kind of double standard we have here?
But I think
is that like it's okay that men should be able to walk away from a relationship, but it's not as easy for I know, but I'm just making this point though. But it's perceived as not so easy for a woman to though.
No. And but I know being said. That's not what was being said. While we are acknowledging that Johnny Depp is a victim, quote unquote, in this, we're also acknowledging that he also contributed to the tumultuous.
In what way exactly?
He screamed, yelled,
in a relationship. For being in a relationship at all.
We do have it.
That's my point exactly, Nina. Though, then can't the same point be made for any woman who claims to be trapped in an abusive relationship on the other end? I mean, that's my point here. How do we know
we say that about women, those kind of women too? We're like, well, why do you stay? Leave.
Get out. Why do you stay? Leave. Get out. And also, I would look at any woman who's engaging in the issues by throwing stuff right back at him when he's being violent as egging that on, right? I would, if I found out that a woman was throwing things in that situation, I would have to look at her and go, girl, are you trying to get hit? What do you leave? Just leave, right?
Get out.
To me, though, it still sounds like victim blaming, and it just seems like it should be okay just because it's a guy and not a woman.
No, absolutely.
But I'm just saying, like, that's how it comes off to me.
But it's not meant to, Tom. The thing here is that you have to understand when there's a toxic relationship going on, which this very much was. There's two sides contributing to.
But I have yet to see any conclusive evidence that Johnny did anything to add to this. It sounds to me like in every bit of evidence I've seen,
he's yelling, he's smashing the cabinets.
There is video of him throwing bottles.
Yeah.
But there is nothing conclusive to say that he put a hand on her. Absolutely nothing conclusive to say that he put a hand on her. There is video to prove that he engaged in toxic yelling and throwing things. All right,
that's not doing it to a person, though. That's a big difference.
I agree. That's a big difference. Relationship, Tom. How do you define a toxic relationship?
Was she in the room and was it directed at her?
It was directed at her.
In the room and it was directed at her.
Yes, she was in the room, and yes, it was directed at her.
Okay.
Look, don't make me defend Amber Heard here because I don't want.
I'm not trying to, but I'm just trying to make it so, like, I'm just putting it out there because it just seems like there's a double standard even for those who are sticking up for Johnny. It's still like, oh, he should have been able to walk away from this. How do we know?
I'm not saying he should have.
She kept him pretty fucking well drugged up all the goddamn time.
Here's what I'm trying to say here. Tom. Here's what I'm trying to say here. First of all, here's what we're trying to say here is that, Tom, there always needs to be some measure of accountability. And
all I know is he went through $750 million fucking dollars in 10 years and he didn't spend it all himself.
Tom, that is nothing.
She was there for more. She could have walked away too if it was so fucking toxic. That's the thing.
Because she's a psychopath.
Yeah, because she's an absolute psychopath.
No, if she wants me to believe her, that's what she should have done. That's what she should have done. Because it's the same. It goes both ways. And people are agreeing with me a little bit in the chat that there is a bit of a double standard in this case.
Look,
how is Johnny not any more of a victim than any other woman who feels trapped in a relationship?
It is foolish to engage in this dialogue without acknowledging the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is that Johnny behaved badly at times. But let's acknowledge that and not necessarily demonize him for it, okay? Because in that situation, anyone might behave badly. Let's not be disingenuous here. I think it's very important to be as objective and real as humanly possible in this discussion so that we can legitimately.
All right, well, then I'll bring up another point that we brought up before. Not one woman has said that he has acted this way in any way, shape, or form towards them. So
I agree, but I also don't think that any other woman put him in that
shit
position.
Out of him.
I could not agree
more. She manipulated the fuck out of him.
I could not agree
and
more.
she just used him as a fucking,
I don't disagree with you on this, but I think that all those other women weren't psycho people like Amber Heard. Amber Heard is a special kind of psychopath.
Exactly. So how do you feel like that he doesn't necessarily mean, how do you know he didn't feel like he was trapped at some point necessarily?
We probably very much did feel like he was trapped, and no one is arguing that. No one is arguing that. What we're trying to do is take the wind out of the sails of the people who would oppose us in this conversation, right? By acknowledging the truth of the situation. Were there things that Johnny Depp did that you can classify as behaving badly? Absolutely. But all of that pales in comparison to the things that we know Amber Heard did. We know she cut his finger off. We know that she fabricated bruises and marks. We know that she hit her sister. We know that she hit her previous girlfriend. We know that we have testimony that she was constantly violent and yelling and screaming at him. I'm not putting them on the same level. I'm taking the wind out of the sails of people.
I guess, okay, let me rephrase my point then. We can agree that maybe there was some bad behavior on his part, but I'm more than willing to bet that behavior was brought on by her.
Absolutely.
And she is to fucking blame. Period.
Absolutely.
I would agree.
Disagreeing with you
about that. On that.
Yeah.
No one's disagreeing on that.
She's the instigator.
And then just at the same time to say that he could have walked away at any time and just as easy as not, it's just not fair. That's all I'm saying on that part.
And no, sometimes it's not that easy to walk away. Just walk away out of a toxic relationship like that, because there's things that each party gets out of that relationship.
Exactly.
It's not
layers.
but that's what they thrive on, and it's not always easy to just.
But just
sometimes there's codependency going on. Sometimes
exactly.
Just because we say he should have walked away doesn't mean that we don't understand why it was difficult for him to walk away. Those two things can be true at the same time. It's possible to make the very true statement, man, Johnny, you should have walked away, and still completely understand why that was so incredibly difficult for him. That's not demonizing him. That's simply stating a fact. So
yeah, sometimes.
And I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, yes, there's two sides to every story, but when you have somebody who is a certain way for so many years, going to what Alpha J is saying here, sometimes you can point a finger at somebody and say, yeah, that's the problem. A toxic person will bring the toxicity right out of somebody in no time flat. And when you feel like a caged fucking animal, you will act the way Johnny Depp did.
Oh, there's no question about it. Absolutely. I think it was even more difficult for him to keep a control on himself because of the substance abuse issues. Johnny Depp has problems, but I don't think that makes him the bad guy in this situation. I think he was very much a victim who found himself being tortured by an insane psychopathic chick who made him feel caged and cornered like a rat. And so he did what any person who's suffering with dependency issues and in a relationship that they're not sure how to get out of would do. They occasionally lashed out. I'm not demonizing Johnny Depp here, and I really hate being put in a position where I have to point at that more than just the bare minimum in order to look at the people who are trying to defend Amber Heard and go, yeah, I know he did this thing, he did that thing, but can we please keep the focus on the relevant issues, the fact that she cut his fucking finger off, she threatened to kill him, she was constantly taping him and constantly fucking taking pictures of shit, using tampon applicators to prove that he was snorting coke, right? Like, she staged stuff. Like, this woman was out to destroy him, right? Like, and people knew it. Like, I do not want to be focusing on what the mistakes Johnny made as opposed to the reprehensible attacks that Amber Heard committed, right? Those are two very different things and on very different scales. But I think it's disingenuous to not acknowledge that there were some things that Johnny Depp could and should have done, right? And I'm not saying that doesn't make him a victim, but it's the same thing I would say to anyone in that situation. Leave, take care of yourself, try to do better. Do I think he's a victim? Absolutely. But there were things that he did that made this look bad for him too. And it gave the other side, unfortunately, ammunition. And you can't ignore that and be genuine.
Well, no. And the Leo Breaker 49, thank you for the $5 super chat, saying exactly what I was trying to say. The way you guys are phrasing this, and you may not be hearing it, and I hate sounding like one of those fucking SJWs trying to fucking explain this shit to you, but maybe it's just the whole fucking commonality of how men are viewed. I mean, if that's the case, then, it goes both ways. That's all I'm trying to point out too. And again, I would
think at this point, there's a measure of benefit of the doubt that should be handed to the ladies, because we come on here every week and we defend men, and we come on here every week.
Oh, absolutely. 110%. And that's why I was trying to get the facts out of you guys, because I don't think you were trying to say that.
No, I just think it's important to be a very genuine person, and to try to come into this as neutral as possible and acknowledge both sides. You can't look at this when you have the people who are defending Amber Heard and not acknowledge that Johnny Depp behaved badly at points. You have to acknowledge that if you want to get to the root of this stuff. Right?
As we all do when we're around toxic people. That's why they tell you to try and not have toxic people in your life. If you have a toxic person in your life, most of the time you've thought about cutting them off. And when you have cut them off, usually you become a better person for it, because you don't give off that toxicity the way, because they trigger you, they bring out the worst in you, right? So Amber Heard probably did that for Johnny on a very high level, because she is so crazy toxic. She's like on a next level crazy.
Yeah, so caused him to relapse, and that made him. So he, I'm not saying that it was his choice to relapse, but because he dealt with that craziness, he had to numb out. And the thing is like, if you have your resources for your rehab and you go on, you go through your treatment and stuff like that, there would be chances, and I would like to think that people would be more sensible enough for their own health and their well-being is to go back to that rehab and say, I need counseling, I need to get out of this situation. situation. I feel like I'm going to relapse and, and start reporting this behavior before it gets worse. We would like to think that, victims would be able to do that no matter if they're man or woman.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Dee brings up an interesting point here. As men, we are not taught to see the warning signs about what abuse looks like when the abuser is female. And I think that's one of the main things that's going to get lost in this whole Johnny Depp thing. And it could have been a very big learning experience for everybody. Absolutely. Is that, yes, not all abused are women and not all abusers are men. And when you have a situation, especially one where somebody who is being manipulated the way Johnny Depp is, way I've seen a lot of men in my life manipulated by women, it's not just men who do this.
No, and women are especially good at it,
especially manipulative. Yes, sometimes
they're especially good at it because they've been taught that they can get away with certain things because they are weaker. So they're good at mental manipulation.
Well,
they're good at getting what they want. And that's what she did. She was a master at it. And she also did very basically textbook narcissistic and sociopathic stuff where
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, you cut off the person from their family, which she did, family and friends. You get them alone, you get them without their support group, just like Alora was saying. And you corner them so that it's like a leech. You just want to feed off of this person. And that's what she was to Johnny.
Well, because that's what narcissistic people need. They need other people to feed off of. And if you have the audacity to fight back against them, they will smear you to the ends of the earth.
Exactly.
Well, the irony of all of this is, and we have this recorded, right? The irony of all of this is that the judge gave her exactly what she wanted, what she mocked Johnny Depp over when she said, see how many people will believe you, that people would side with her because she was a 115-pound woman, that no one would believe that she could hurt. The judge gave her exactly, and how has Johnny Depp got to feel at this moment when it turns out she was right? No one would believe him. No one would side with him because he was a man and she was a woman. It's completely fucked up. You proved her right. I'm sorry, but her saying that alone to him should have been a big red flag to the judge, where he should have said to himself, yeah, this woman thinks she can do whatever she wants and get away with it because she's a little woman. That should have been.
I'm convinced this judge was completely paid off by the son. Personally, I think he was.
I don't like what Liquid Kadamus, whatever, said here. He says only cucks take abuse from women. That's not true.
That's not true.
Wait, what? Sorry, what?
No. Yeah, that's not true.
What takes abuse from women? Where is it?
Only cucks. No, they take abuse and they want it on purpose. That's a totally different situation than this. That's a choice. Like if you choose to be a cuck, that's one thing. Like this is a totally different situation.
Well, there is good news about all of this, and I want to kind of go through the tweets. So this got ratioed really, really hard today. This was the Sun, okay? The people that initially, they're the ones that Johnny Depp was suing. The Sun. The Johnny Depp was a wife beater who abused Amber Heard. Judge rules in the Sun wins trial. Then 914 likes to 1.2 thousand quote tweets. Oh my God, they got ratioed so hard, and this should be a big red flag to the Sun about how this is going to go down for that judge. I'm sorry, that judge should be taken out. That judge has no business working as a judge. He's clearly not. He's clearly not.
I guess from what I understood from what Mr. H was explaining to me, like basically since both of them were involved in a domestic dispute, he can be considered that, period. It doesn't matter whether she was involved or not. And that's just the way UK law works, I guess. I know. Yeah.
The problem is that it's validated now for them to slap this label, and they did. They did it again. Was wife beater who abused Amber Heard. Judge rules. That's that way that they phrased this is them doubling down on what they said.
Oh, I
they
agree.
Want
this is
him
bullshit.
slander. This is complete bullshit. The Sun has stood up and campaigned for the victims of domestic abuse for over 20 years. Domestic abuse victims must never be silenced, and we thank the judge for his careful consideration situation and thank Amber Heard for her courage in giving evidence to the court. Let's see what everybody thought about that. The Sun is a piece of trash publication. Rules.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, rivaled only by the Daily Mail, but I digress.
Bullshit amplifier detector. There's one in favor of the Sun here. Good, blah, blah, blah. There's one, and then let's keep going. Hold on. Did I share audio? Did I share audio on this? I'm not sure if I did.
I don't.
Let me double check. Hold on. I'm going to share audio for this. This is hilarious. This is so freaking funny. Hold on. Pause and back it up.
Your bitch ass up. Smooth my ball sack out with your luscious tongue. You unadulterated cunt rockets. Suction your front hole to my back.
Oh my God.
Wow. I do. My dream that shows up. Amber Heard does. They cut off your fingers next and whoop your ass. You fucking ass bitch. Oh
my God. Wow. Tell us how you really
How does Yoda really feel about the situation?
Exactly.
Happy not Yoda is.
People throwing shit. Bullshit. The judge has exposed his bias.
The table.
I can tell how much pride the author of this had in writing this. Well, look at that. Okay, all right. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I have no words that could convey the damage you've done to those who think they might have had a chance of speaking out against abusive partners.
Well, they have no shame. They have zero shame.
No.
Yeah. Most troubling is the judge's reliance on the testimony of Amber Heard and corresponding disregard of the mountain of counter evidence from police officers, medical practitioners, and her own former assistant. And it's true. They relied on the testimony. Whatever Amber Heard said was golden, and all evidence to the contrary was basically ignored.
Exactly. Like her own assistant. Like, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, her own assistant. Keeps going. Very strange how she kept all this information, like a get out of marriage rich. I think was always on her mind. I've never heard of her until she was with him. She's an actress, albeit not a very good one. She's making her money. Doesn't take away the fact that she assaulted him and not the other way around.
Oh my gosh.
That's interesting. So they won the right to call him an abuser, not that he is one, and they see that as a victory. Wow.
Whoa.
So how long were y'all preparing this tweet? But mark my words, no one can escape karma. It will get you back one day. This is full of this stuff. This is so completely full of this crap. Wow.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are normies. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of them are people who have kind of been like, whoa. As evidence has been coming out.
I don't know if this is true or not, but EA Prima says important. The judge did not disclose that he mentored Amber's lawyer. They even co-wrote a book.
Wow.
This means if it's true, Johnny can apply for a mistrial rather than appeal. This is big.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know anything about UK law. I don't know anything about UK law, so yeah.
Holy crap. It's getting deeper. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, UK law is pretty similar to Canadian law, and yes, you could do that. So I know that for.
I'm praying to God that they get this because they're going to appeal this, and I hope that it is appealed. And I mean, I don't know that that'll be the case. We'll see, but it's pretty clear that they took Amber's word as golden, and all of the evidence to the contrary was essentially disregarded. The fact that he's so blatantly biased himself, like, oh, it's all Amber Heard is the victim 100%, and not a word about how this was very clearly at times mutual in terms of the yelling and screaming.
Yeah, I mean, right? Look at us. We're all for Johnny, and we just had a deep conversation about how maybe, it was a toxic relationship, and some personal responsibility could have been taken. Nothing, absolutely nothing from this judge who's been seeing mountains of evidence to the contrary of what he's saying, like that she's a freaking abusive psycho bitch.
Yeah.
The fuck?
This is completely insane, and I think we're gonna have to keep an eye on it. I hope that it gets appealed. I hope this gets turned over. And granted, that's going to be realistically, it's very difficult because if you can prove that there was a situation where he probably put his hands on her, right? Like it's pretty easy for them to make the case that they got into a physical altercation at some point and Johnny Depp put hands on her. That would probably be pretty easy to make them have a reasonable doubt that he didn't hit her or whatever, right? If they can do that, then this probably stays. What's crazy to me is how on board everybody is with this sort of slander, right? So we still have the case in Virginia, and that's in the States. And I think that's going to be a lot harder for Amber.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot harder for Amber here. And so I'm hoping and praying that we're going to wind up in a situation where, especially in a place like Virginia, where we've got someone a little more coherent,
not as biased.
Yeah.
So that we don't have a case of judicial activism going on. It would be nice to see a judge at least acknowledge that this situation was bad all around, right? And not simply portray Amber as the sole victim in this case. That alone, I think, would be the kind of validation that Johnny Depp needs.
I agree. And I mean, honestly, like when I first heard about this, like it was just kind of like a slap, like a just like a punch in the gut kind of feeling and reaction. And I really hope, I really do wish some justice for Johnny here. I mean, it's an absolute awful thing for anyone to go through. And I've known people personally that have gone through abusive relationships, and I feel for him big time. So hang in there, Johnny.
Yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on it. But this was a gut punch. This was a real big gut punch.
I was not expecting to hear that.
Yeah,
the case was going to be lost.
I figured if anything, it'd get thrown out.
Right. Well, that was something I thought might be a possibility. At this point, though, there's really only one way for Johnny to get justice, right? And that's up to the fans now. Is to make sure that this is gonna be hard for me.
I don't use this
language
like very often, but fuck this cunt. I hope she goes down in flames. I really do.
Wow.
I really do.
I mean, I agree.
I hope she gets what's coming to her. I really do. Because
I can say
you reap what you sow, bitch. That's all I'm gonna say. Someday somebody's gonna cut your fucking finger out. Yes, goddamn right. Excuse my French.
Yeah.
But we did have a few super chats to get to before we end this lovely session of Toxic Femininity tonight. I want to thank everybody for hanging in there. You guys have been a wonderful crowd. It's been a very hot topic the last hour or so, but y'all have been very well behaved, and I appreciate that. So why don't we get to these super chats? What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, let's take a look here. Let's try to back it up, and so I know. Here we go. All right, so
I think it's Jeffrey Turner is where we left off. I think.
Jeffrey. Oh, where's that?
Is it?
I don't see it in the chat.
Yeah, I don't.
Jeffrey
see it.
Turner, $2 GL initially planned. Pelp saying, "I'm your." Oh yeah, we got that one.
We got all those.
Did we get the Adam Wolford?
I think that's where we left off. I think that's where we left off then.
Yeah. So Adam Wolford for $2 says no autocorrect villain. No, I meant Crate Dragon. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you meant Craft. I did think you meant Craft.
Oh no! Oh my god!
Crate Dragon. Okay.
I didn't think nothing of it because that's kind of been the joke going around, isn't it?
It has been the joke. It has been the joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got President Abu Nas in the chat, but we'll get to that super chat in due time, sir. No worries there. We'll be there soon. Next up, we got Larry with a $3 super sticker. Thank you so much. And Adam Wolford came in again. Who's next?
Next would be Nina.
Nina?
So Larry, we got that already, right? So Terminus Est, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Okay.
No, we got another one from Adam Wolford, I thought.
I just read Adam Wolford.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Terminus Est.
Oh, there we are. I'm on.
Terminus ESD for $5. Thank you so much, Terminus. says, I'm sure Pedro Pascal had to go commando, dual meaning. Other people had to be wearing the suit, or he also had to not wear undies while wearing it.
Oh my god, that sounds horrifying. That sounds horrifying.
There is no underwear in space.
That's
Right?
That's
He did say that. He said that.
Yes, that's right. He made Leia go commando.
Oh my god.
No underwear in space. Nope.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Here's,
Okay.
Leo Breaker 49. We read his, but I'll read it again. Leo Breaker 49 for $5. Thank you. Ladies, he was saying that the way you phrased your stance sounded unintentionally biased against, even though that wasn't the case. And we did talk about that.
Yeah. And then JR Dorian, 2795 Canadian $5. Thank you so much. What about any ongoing cases like the one in California that has Amber Heard screwed?
So, as I understand it, the next case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is the one in Virginia. And so I would have to look up something. I didn't know she was in a case in California.
The similar one that's going on in California is the Brad Pitt Angelina Jolie one, which is he was accused of being abusive towards her and the kids and like all that stuff. So I don't actually know what's going on with that. I haven't checked on it for a while.
A long time.
Yeah, I do know he got like visitation rights and everything like that, but
yeah, that's something we'd have to be more informed on before we can discuss.
But that's the most similar case I know of. That's kind of like that.
All right. Avunas, hey, El Presidente says, you awesome ladies freaking killed it tonight. Been lurking and listening to the show while I'm prepping for Dark Cancel. You sexy ladies is our only hope. Thank you, El Presidente.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abu. All the hails. We love you, Abu. Thank you so much.
Right. So I think that catches us up on the super chats. I want to thank everybody in the chat again for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. I think we were shadow banned probably because of some of the topics, but that's nothing new. But we want to thank you all for finding us just the same. Real quick, ladies, let's go do the round. Lorena, tell them real quick how to find you.
Well, everyone, I'm Lorena Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. You can find me on Twitter, and of course, you can also find me on YouTube as well. I have several live streams going on during the week, but tomorrow at 12 noon on a special edition of my lunchtime pop-up show, I am going to be interviewing Az, aka Heels versus Babyface. So that's
nice. Tell Az I love him so much.
I will.
All right. OG Star Wars Legends Gala Laura, tell them where they can find you.
Hey everyone, you can find me on my channel OG Star Wars, and this week I'm catching up on my schedule, so Thursday we'll not only have Coffee Chat at 9 a.m., but we also will be reviewing Death Troopers at 5 p.m. on my channel. That's Pacific Standard Time as well. And I will be on Queen's Council as well. I don't know if Lorena knows where the
it is on my channel this week.
Okay. I'll be there as well. So I'm finally caught up on my schedule, all of that. And again, you can find me here as well and on Babe to Menace. And, sometimes I'll appear on Mary Mayhem's channel. So thank you guys so much for being here and engaging in this wonderful conversation and subject that we had today.
Terminus S sent us another super chat as well. I missed earlier. $5. Remember, guys, sticking your D in crazy is like sticking it in a glory hole with a guillotine on the other side. That in turn makes it a glory hole.
A gory hole.
Gory hole. Oh, sorry, I missed that one, Terminus. I didn't mean to. Oh, nasty.
I love that.
Oh my god. Dang, Terminus.
Yeah, Nina, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube here. I have a small channel. Tomorrow I'll be on John Talks' channel for the debate. We're gonna be partying and having, or not debate. Sorry, the final debate, the final grand
election
hurrah.
results.
the election results. It's going to be tomorrow. Don Talks' channel. We'll be partying, having fun with certain people. It'll be great. And also, you can find me on Mary Mayhem's channel on the Babe to Menace once a month, which I think is this Wednesday. It'll be amazing. It'll be awesome. And also on Lorena's channel for the Queen's Council on Thursdays. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me tonight.
Awesome. All right, and last but not least, the hostess with the mostest, Miss Mary B. Poison Ivy.
Well, you guys, I am Mary B. I am the Mistress of Mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official women card holder. And I have decided I'm Poison Ivy now. Own it.
Oh, you are owning it, all right.
Toxic.
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun to rock all night long. So I like to reface
Toxic
that.
lady.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need somebody to do Foxy Lady from Jimi Hendrix, but make it Toxic Lady. And we'll make that our new theme song. Yeah, we'll probably get a stupid copyright strike.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody once again for checking us out here on Midnight's Edge. And don't forget to check out Midnight's Edge After Dark, of course, on all these lovely ladies' channels as well. Take care, everybody, and good night. Have a happy week. And don't lose your minds tomorrow. Hopefully the world doesn't end. See ya.
Oh my God. This will be good.
Proving that the Phantom Menace isn't just toxic white males. It's toxic femininity, brought to you by Midnight's Edge.